When I started writing this speech more than a year ago, I was on a flight to Egypt for a mini term, and the content was drastically different. It was full of nostalgia, but more importantly, excitement for the 2 terms that were coming. Man, was I wrong. Even now, I stand here with a completely different speech than I wrote a year ago. I wanted to be lazy and reuse it, but that speech wouldn't do any justice to the growth we've all made in the last year. I am a completely different person than when we graduated. I am now what they call an adult. I pay rent, I buy groceries, and sometimes I remember to make my own bed. But I would be remiss if I said I didn't feel like a part of me was always missing. I always try and tell people it's like the scene from Pretty in Pink where Iona recounts how her friend perpetually feels that something is missing. She checks her purse, she checks her keys, and then she realizes it's the feeling of missing her prom. I think graduation is felt that way in a sense that I am a completely different stage of my life, but sometimes there's this off feeling. Then I remember I never actually walked on stage, crossed the library, shaking hands with President Harris, and waving to my parents. But that reoccurring feeling never ends with sadness. It always reverts to happiness every time because of the memories and because of the people and the place that brought us all together. I have loved Union College since April 4th, 2015, the first day I stepped on campus. If you told me that when I had entered I would find myself, as many people did, I would have looked at you like you had 2 heads. I came to Union to study history, but I didn't fall in love with history at Union. I've loved history today since I was born, but in college I fell in love with being a historian. Encouraged and fostered by professors, administrators, and staff from all over campus, they pushed me to seek knowledge and truth. Through this quest, I found myself, because of deep connections Union had, like Reverend Lewis C. Lockwood, class of 1838. Lockwood served as a missionary to formerly enslaved people during the Civil War, but unlike most missionaries, he encouraged their talent for ministry and desire for education, instead of focusing on controlling and patronizing the formerly enslaved. He helped found the first school at Fortress Monroe, which is now Hampton University, a well-known historically black college and university. Lockwood is a shining example of what a Union graduate can do and the impact we've had over the course of history. For context, Union did not completely make Lockwood, as Union will not completely make each of us, but Lockwood teaches us that each and every one of us can and will go on to do extraordinary, world-changing things. Union taught me that I mattered. Each one of us has a name and a face and a story, not just one or the other. It's different. It's quite literally magical. It's steeped with history at every possible level, and Union lives up to its mission. Under the laws of Minerva, we all become brothers and sisters. To this day, no one knows who wrote our motto, but I think it's better that way. Whoever did write it knew that it wouldn't matter. From 1795 to 2020, 3 centuries later, these are the ties that bind us, the ties to presidents, missionaries, surgeons, and stars of park recreation. The life and community described here could never, ever, ever be recreated in a million years. You could tell me it's the same in other schools, and I will always disagree. I am indebted to these walls, its grounds, its history, and most importantly, its people. Much like any Union alum, I will be back. We've got to make up for a lost term somehow. Luckily, Union is a bit inescapable. In Boston, I live with 3 Union alumni, with more friends moving into the city by the month. A couple of weeks ago, I even met up with some kids I'd gone to Egypt with in Jamaica Plain. All across the country, I have people who will let me crash or show me around their city. How wonderful it feels to have the world, very scary in these times, feel a little bit smaller. In the end, I will always have Union College, and I will always be Union College. Union was not the easiest 4 years, and this past year has not been any easier. But Union has been the best 4 years, and I know that I can say that for each and every one of you. I leave you with a quote from a Grateful Dead song, which my own advisor, Professor Lawson in the history department, recited at her own graduation. And if you go, no one may follow. That path is for your steps alone. Union gave us the strength to start again, in new jobs, in new schools, in new cities, with new people, in the middle of a global pandemic. You all have been carving your own paths in the past year. I've seen it with my own eyes, or over social media, or from word of mouth. Belated congratulations, Union College class of 2020. I couldn't be more proud to call you my peers.